All right, y'all. Sean G, Podcast with Soul. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming. Give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share this with somebody else you know who is following the trial. Follow me on Instagram, The Podcast with Soul, Spotify, The Podcast with Soul. Shout out to Alexandra Shapiro. Alexandra Shapiro is one of Puffy's attorneys. She wrote a 14-page motion today to stop the judge from removing the black male juror number 6 off the jury. It didn't work, so what? We move on. But in this document, Alexandra Shapiro does an amazing job of highlighting the other pre-trial prosecutorial misconduct that went on in this trial against Puffy to just totally just make this case something that it is not. Now, where I want to start is Puffy's defense team applied for a Franks hearing. Now, a Franks hearing, we know, is a legal proceeding separate from the trial where the defense and the prosecution litigate the applicability of the information that went into the warrants to search Puffy's homes in LA and Miami. Was the information in the warrants truthful? Did it obtain falsehoods? This is all done in the Franks hearing to see if the warrant should be thrown out or if it's going to be admissible in court. So let me read to you on page 9 of 14. The Southern District of New York used misrepresentations and material omissions in the warrant applications. Although the court denied our Franks motion, the defense has documented how the Southern District of New York obtained the March 2024 warrants to search Mr. Combs' homes, his person, and all of his electronic devices using materially misleading applications. They omitted extensive evidence undercutting the credibility of Miss Ventura, Cassie, and other witnesses the warrant applications relied on to establish probable cause. That's what the Franks hearing is for. The Franks hearing is to test the validity of the language and the testimony in the warrants and affidavits to see if it was sufficient to find probable cause. For instance, when obtaining the warrants, the government completely disregarded extensive evidence then in its possession showing Puffy and Cassie's relationship was, though at times toxic, consensual, and loving. The applications also relied on several other witnesses the prosecutors later admitted were not credible. So the prosecution used other witnesses to obtain the search warrants, right? And once they got the search warrants, they said, we don't need them no more. They're not credible. But only after they got the search warrants. But in order to get the judge to sign off on the search warrants, they included these witnesses that they knew was no good. These witnesses were part of a feeding frenzy of grifters who were trying to extract money from Combs after the Cassie lawsuit became public. Yet, the prosecutors failed to disclose the financial motives of these witnesses and concealed exculpatory evidence that the government had in its possession when it sought the warrants. Check this part out. This part is dealing with who is victim number 3, who ain't even coming. This is the federal prosecutors. Cassie is victim number 1. She perjured herself, lied on the stand. Victim number 2 is Jane Doe. She, you understand, met with prosecutors 24 times, right? Was complicit, volunteered for her hotel nights. Cassie volunteered for the freak-offs, even set it up. Both of them set up. Cassie set up her freak-offs, and Jane Doe set up the hotel nights. Prosecutors attempted to introduce unreliable, decades-old, highly inflammatory allegations and used allegations about additional victims who never testified to obtain search warrants and seek detention. So the government, the prosecutors, used information, unreliable information, to deny Puffy bail and to obtain the search warrants to search his properties. The government attempted to prop up its case with old, unreliable, and highly prejudicial and inflammatory Rule 40B evidence, much of which the court correctly and fortunately excluded in granting the defense's motion in limine. Although the court denied the motion to exclude the testimony of one alleged victim, another girlfriend who had no interaction with any of Puffy's employees or the alleged RICO case, that individual, or RICO enterprise, that individual, Gina, apparently has decided not to testify. Likewise, the government spent over 1 year claiming that Puffy's former girlfriend, Gina, was a victim and used that allegation to support arguments for bail and to obtain warrants and presumably in the grand jury. And the government did not call her as a witness. Despite including Gina in the indictment, the government has not elicited any evidence at trial that could possibly support the conclusion that she is a victim. Sean G, podcast was sold. It don't never stop. Stay tuned. I got another video dropping. Thumbs up. Leave a comment. If you want to be added to my email distribution list, it's a private list. Send me an email to thepodcastwassold@gmail.com. Peace.